Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular council meeting of Wednesday, February the 4th. I feel kind of alone up here for a change. It's really a little different. We'll begin with a moment of reflection and respect. Thank you. Thank you. First item is confirmation of the agenda. The council adopts the agenda for the meeting of February the 4th, 2026. Mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Barber and Councillor Barber. All those in favor, and that is carried. Thank you. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which deals with delegations and public meetings. First, we have a ceremonial presentation for recognition to Elmer firefighters. So hang on a minute. I've got this microphone attached to my lapel. I kind of think I'm on CNN or something. I don't know for sure. Tonight, welcome. Tonight, we're pleased to recognize firefighters who are celebrating years of dedicated service. Each milestone represents time spent training. And when the public hears training, they're not quite sure what training means, I don't think. I think the families know. But first of all, you have a huge period of training. And then every week, firefighters have to train. It's an ongoing practice forever. And responding to emergencies, and of course, that's said quite easily too, until you happen to be in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and your pager goes off. And for being there for our community when it matters most. Your commitment and willingness to serve do not go unnoticed. And our community is safer because of you. These certificates are a small thank you for the dedication you show year after year. So on behalf of the town of Elmer, congratulations on reaching the milestone, and thank you for everything you do to protect and support our community. So thank you for your service. Let's begin with Trevor Sproul, 5 years of dedicated service. Come on up, Trevor. Congratulations, Trevor. Next, we have Tim Sleegers for 5 years of dedicated service. Tim. And Tim Small, 20 years of dedicated service. Come up, Tim. Tim is also receiving, not sure what you call this, 20-year pin of some. Okay, I give you that. Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen. So you can come back there. Welcome back, everyone. Our next item deals with the Committee of Adjustment hearing. First, we need a resolution to recess and commence under Committee of Adjustment. Resolution.
That the committee does now recess and commence a Committee of Adjustment meeting. It's a public, I apologize. That the committee does now commence a public meeting
Sorry.
at 7:06 PM.
Okay. Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Councillor Rahi. All those in favor? And there's carried. We are now in the public meeting. Clerk, read the procedure.
This public meeting is convened to consider application for official plan amendment OPA 03-25 and zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 04-25. Additional information related to the applications is available for inspections between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. weekdays at Elmer Town Hall. Signed written submissions are accepted by the clerk during the hearing and are available for inspection by any party. A copy of this decision will be mailed to those persons who attend or are represented at the hearing and those who have filed a written request with the clerk. This public meeting is convened in the following order. First, the presentation of the staff report by the Manager of Planning and Development, the agent or applicant, the public, and then staff and the clerk. Application OPA 03-25 and ZBA 04-25 are made by 2865476 Ontario Incorporated, Jacob Barabeau as owners of the property known municipally as 516 John Street North in the town of Elmer. The purpose of the application for official plan amendment is to redesignate a portion of the lands, 9,600 square meters, in the area from employment to employment special policy area 1, to permit a existing farmers market known as the Old Imperial Market, to permit arterial commercial area designation uses in addition to employment designation uses. The purpose of the application for zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone a portion of the subject land, 9,600 square meters, in area from heavy industrial special provision 2 to heavy industrial support commercial special provision 11.
Thank you. Could the Manager of Planning and Development please provide a report?
Thank you, Your Worship and council members. I'd just like to draw your attention to Figure 1, which shows the location of the subject lands at 516 John Street North, which is located on the west side of John Street North, north of the intersection of John Street North and Beach Street. Figures 2 and 3 show the 2 units subject to the planning applications. The first unit currently contains the existing Old Imperial Farmers Market, and the second unit directly west of that unit contains a proposed unit currently leased to Erie Motor Company. As part of the planning applications, a planning justification report was submitted by CJDL Consulting Engineers, care of Stephen Cornwell, Senior Planner. In terms of the planning policy review, the employment policies of the Provincial Policy Statement 2024 were reviewed. And I can conclude that the proposed applications are consistent with the PPS of 2024. In terms of the County of Elgin official plan, the settlement area, economic development, and employment policies were reviewed, and the applications conform to the county's plan. Moving on to the Town of Elmer official plan, the subject lands are currently designated employment, which essentially means industrial. The proposed official plan amendment will only redesignate a portion of the lands at 516 John Street North, which is just 2.37 acres in area, from employment to the employment special policy area 1. And this is to permit the existing farmers market and also to permit arterial commercial area designation uses. Arterial commercial designation arterial commercial area is a designation that already exists within our official plan that permits a variety of uses that serve residents, traveling residents, and day-to-day activities of residents. Economic development, general land use, and site suitability policies were reviewed in the town's official plan. The proposed development provides opportunities for employment and business through intensification and redevelopment. While commercial use of the subject lands for the old Imperial Market is not currently a permitted use in the employment designation, the official plan amendment proposes to create a special policy area permitting the proposed uses while maintaining the underlying employment designation. This provides flexibility for the site so that it may revert to its previous industrial use if the market were to close or relocate, and prevents long-term removal of the lands from the employment land base. The proposal meets the policies of Section 311 regarding site suitability within the town's official plan. The proposed applications will conform to the town's official plan, subject to the official plan amendment coming into effect. In terms of the town's zoning bylaw, we're proposing to rezone just a portion of those lands to what's basically called a split zone. So it's going to be zoned heavy industrial / support commercial special provision, so M2 / C2-11. What that means is it allows for either heavy industrial uses that are currently permitted under the M2 zone, as well as C2 uses, which is our support commercial zone. It's important to note for the C2-11 zone, the proposed uses listed in my report are currently mostly permitted as of right in our C2 zone in the town zoning bylaw. Given that the two new uses are proposed, a farmer's market as well as a microbrewery, definitions for such uses have been added to the site-specific amendment. And it's also important to note, as part of this zoning bylaw amendment, that the owners have also applied to permit 3 mobile food trucks carts to be allowed on the property at all times, as well as to reduce the parking requirements from 252 spaces to 126 spaces. And this calculation for parking spaces is based on the most restrictive parking regulation, that being a restaurant. And it's important to note as well, the balance of the subject lands, which is about 53.75 acres, would continue to be industrial, with industrial buildings operating light and heavy industrial businesses. The proposed M2/C2-11 zone provides flexibility in permitting either industrial or support commercial uses for the long-term viability of this property. The proposed uses for the C2-11 zone are appropriate and complement the existing farmers market. Increasing the number of permitted mobile food trucks carts from 1 to 3 is also appropriate, as they are generally an accessory part of farmers markets, and there is sufficient area on site to locate them. Lastly, the owners also requested to amend the parking requirements using the most restrictive parking regulation of a restaurant, which is at 1 space per 15 square meters, or 161 square feet. Given the nature of the proposed uses, retail, recreation, or restaurant, the use of the restaurant parking regulation is the most suitable. The reduction in the parking spaces is appropriate due to the existing and proposed uses, as well as the availability of additional parking areas on the property within the M2-2 zone, which is still held under the same ownership. In terms of consultations, the applications were circulated to all the applicable property owners and agencies, town staff, Canada Post, the county's planning and transportation departments, and Southwest Public Health have no concerns. A letter was submitted by Elgin Innovation Center, Inc., which are the owners of the property, and was included as an attachment to my report. No comments were received from property owners. In conclusion, the proposed local official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendments are consistent with the provincial planning statement and conform to the County of Elgin official plan. And I'm recommending that the request for the official plan amendment be adopted and the zoning bylaw amendment be approved, subject to no concerns being raised tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant or an agent present today, and do they wish to speak? If so, approach the podium and give your name.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I am Stephen Cornwall with CJDL Engineering. We're the agent for the applicant on this. We would just like to say we're quite pleased with the staff report and the recommendation that's in front of you. I'm available to answer any questions that council might have, as well as Angela from the Elgin Innovation Center, who is manager for the farmers market.
Okay, thank you. Any members of the public wish to speak? Seeing none, there's one in the,
If you'd like to.
is that a no? Can't. Okay, no. Okay, seeing none, was there any further communication received on this?
No, there was not.
Council, any questions? Councilor Rahi.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to, just a comment in supporting this. I think that farmer's market has been a very welcoming addition to the community, and it's very well run, and I don't see any issues with this personally myself. You know my love for food trucks, and I do like a good microbrewery as well, so thank you.
Very well, thank you. Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you. To Heather, the list of permitted uses is fairly extensive. In regards to the farmer's market itself, if something really unique came along and wanted to locate in the farmer's market per se, is there anything restrictive that would apply?
Through you, Your Worship, to Deputy Mayor Barber. So, as I mentioned in my report, the farmer's market is going to have its own site-specific. It's going to have its own definition. So the definition itself is fairly broad. It basically says it speaks to the sale of fresh fruit, vegetables, meat, trees, shrubs, plants, flowers, local artisan products, food products, canned preserved. Like, it's fairly broad. So it should fit within the definition that I have proposed for a farmer's market.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we will now consider a resolution to, I guess, move out of special
Yes.
resolution.
That the council move out of the public meeting and reconvene as council at 7:18 p.m.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Oslach and Councilor Chapman. All those in favor, and that is carried. Right now, we have a resolution to, I guess we're back into regular council right now.
That report Plan 03-26 regarding planning evaluation report, application for official plan amendment 03-25, and zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 04-25, 516 John Street North be received. And that the Council of the Town of Elmer adopt the proposed official plan amendment, application OPA 03-25 in accordance with the bylaw number 1826, and forward the necessary documentation and bylaw to the County of Elgin for approval, and that the Council of the Town of Elmer approve the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, application ZBA 04-25 in accordance with bylaw number 1426, and provide 3 readings to bylaw number 1426.
Mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Barber, Councilor Chapman. All those in favor, and that's carried. Thank you very much. Next item, I believe, is the Director of Legislative Services dealing with the Forever Wildlife Rehabilitation. We have a resolution.
That report clerk 04-26 regarding Forever Wildlife Rehabilitation, wildlife euthanasia funding request be received for information, and that council authorized staff to establish an account with Beaver Creek Animal Hospital for the purpose of paying for required wildlife euthanasia services arising from properties within the town of Elmer, and that council authorized the use of budgeted animal services contract funds to fund the costs associated with this service.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Oslach and Councilor Barber. We have a further report?
Yes. So through the mayor to council, this will be a brief report about funding arrangement related to wildlife euthanasia services. We do have Fiona Wynn and Colleen Burns here tonight from Forever Wildlife Rehabilitation to answer any questions council may have. In summary, this will address sick wildlife, mainly raccoons and skunks, affected by canine distemper and other illness. Council is being asked to set up an account with Beaver Creek Animal Hospital to pay for required euthanasia services provided through Forever Wildlife Rehabilitation for cases originating within the town of Elmer. For backgrounds, Forever Wildlife Rehabilitation is an authorized wildlife rehabilitator. They're trained to handle Ontario's wildlife, and they are regulated by the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. They are a volunteer organization based out of Port Stanley, and they handle within Elmer roughly, I believe, around 7 cases on average a year, with the last few years being only a few cases. This arrangement will look like animals being contained and Forever Wildlife Rehabilitation being called in order to pick them up and potentially either rehabilitate them or take them to this veterinary clinic for euthanasia if they are, in fact, affected by canine distemper. The town would be covering the costs associated with this, which are just over $100 per incident, and this would be covered through our existing animal control budget. So the financial impact is relatively small. And this is a follow-up to previous correspondence, which council had referred to staff. So we are bringing it back to you tonight for your input. And if there are any questions, we do have Fiona Wynn and Colleen Burns here to answer them.
Council. Councillor Chapman.
Through you, Mayor. My question is, some people don't like wild animals in their yard. So I guess defining that the animal is sick and needs to be removed, what happens if they come and the animal's not sick? Do you just leave the animal, or what happens then?
Thank you for your
Sorry,
question.
introduce yourselves first.
Oh,
and
I'm
then answer.
My name is Colleen Burns, and I am the founder. Just to correct, it's Forever Wild Rehabilitation, not Forever Wildlife. It's Forever Wild Rehabilitation, and I'm based in Port Stanley. And this is Fiona Wynn. She is one of my volunteers. In respect to your question, I ask a lot of questions when the person calls me so I can determine what's going on with the animal. Sometimes they're just out being a raccoon. Right now it's mating season, so they're out impressing the ladies. And it's very, very cold, so we haven't seen that many. We had one yesterday in Port Stanley, and it was very cold. It's unusual that they're out of their dens right now, other than if they want to mate. But it being so cold, not many are coming out right now. So I ask a lot of questions to determine their behavior, what they physically look like, what they're doing, because there are a lot of signs of distemper. Some are neurological. The animal might look perfectly fine, clear eyes, healthy fur, but they're acting really weird. They're trying to get into a patio door and the dog is going ballistic on the other side. That's a sign something's wrong. They're approaching people. Because it affects them neurologically, they lose their fear of people and they lose their fear of pets. So they might come up to people. So that's a sign that something's wrong. If I determine that there is, I make it quite clear to people we're not a removal service. So if somebody called and said, I think, a mother and babies in my attic, I'm sorry, we don't deal with that. But I have a good conversation with the person to determine whether the animal needs help and whether we need to intervene, because sometimes we don't.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Okay, thank you. Another question, Councillor Rahi.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor, just a comment, it's nice that you guys are fairly local, not super far away. It'd be nice if you were in Elmer, but Port Stanley isn't too far away. My question is if you guys do pick an animal up and you do not euthanize it, do we still get charged the $118.12, or is it only for the euthanizing?
Only for the euthanizing.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Okay, I have Fiona and Colleen down for a presentation. Do you have more information you want to give us, or do you just want to answer some questions?
I'm personally here just in the event council had any questions, or yourself, Mayor. I think it's important that people understand that we are volunteers, and we're volunteer and donation driven. That's how we take care of the animals. Last year we had 410. I had 410 animals come through my hands. It was an incredibly busy year, about 148 more than the previous year. We're run ragged sometimes, especially with phone calls. So I think it's important that the public knows that we are volunteers, number one. We hope to get a donation, but that's all we can do. People will ask us if we charge for our service. We say no, but we would appreciate a donation. And what are some of the, do you have anything else you want to add? Also, it takes us, by the time I get the phone call, I've decided I'm coming, I have to get my equipment together in the car, possibly grab a volunteer with me, and then it takes us 25 minutes to get here. It's important that the person, as safely as they can, keep an eye on the animal. I had to go to Belmont 3 times to get one raccoon. And first he'd slipped underneath somebody's fence, and I said to the woman, if that happens, just please go to the door, tell them there's possibly a sick raccoon in their yard and somebody's on their way, but she didn't, we lost him. Then 2 days later, he showed up and was in a tree. But, oh, it's not far. He's not high up in the tree. Well, yes, he was. So, nope, he wasn't coming down. And then I got a call at 4:30 in the morning. He's out of the tree. I said, okay, I'll see you when the sun comes up, not coming out at night. So we get those kind of phone calls, and that's okay. But it's important because last week, my other volunteer, Holly, and I got called out to No Frills here in Elmer. There was what sounded like a sick raccoon curled up on a ball in front of No Frills. And so we asked a lot of questions. I asked if she could stick around and keep an eye. She said no. Next thing it disappeared. Next thing she finds out somebody put it in a box. I hope they didn't get bit. And she would stick around and wait for us. And we got the location. The only mistake I made is I didn't get the person's phone number, because by the time we got here, no lady, no box. We have no idea what happened to that raccoon. So it was a bit of a waste of our time to come all the way out. So that's important. That I think also the staff, because I'm assuming that a lot of your residents might call Elmer and ask, who do I call? And I would like the staff as well to sort of emphasize that, keep an eye on the animal, because it's going to take them a while to get there. And then what we do when we get there, I assess to make sure the animal is sick. I use different methods of trying to get them into the live trap that I have, and then sometimes I have to use my catch pole. It just depends on the situation and where the animal is. It's not pretty sometimes how we have to catch them, and then we take them immediately to Beaver Creek Animal Hospital to be euthanized. But it's good to note, if Beaver Creek is closed, or it's a holiday, or it's Sunday, Dr. Bhatia, who is the vet at Beaver Creek, has trained me and has allowed me to perform euthanasia. Now, I don't charge for that. That's just something I do because I don't want to have to keep the animal. I've had animals in the past that I've gotten on a Saturday night, and Beaver Creek isn't open till Tuesday. And to watch this animal suffer for days is quite terrible. So I'm now have that ability to do that. But I don't charge for that. That is something that comes out of our pocket. No.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I think, Michelle, you mentioned something about social media. What is it that you plan on doing?
Owen, what is our social media plan?
That's something where give residents,
Yeah, we're
when they're
hoping.
in that situation, what they could do, or even lots of education in what residents can do to avoid them coming into their yards as well too. So there's a lot out there that we can provide you with that would help residents before they make that phone call as well.
Central Elgin has a very good website on wildlife. They touch on coyotes. They touch on how it's important not to feed wildlife. Feeding the geese, even lately, because we had an outbreak of the highly pathogenic avian influenza in Port Stanley. And so there's lots of information on Central Elgin's website that I've helped them with. So that's maybe something you might want to look into.
okay. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation here. I just wanted to mention I did have personal experience with Colleen in this area last year, and that, to cut matters short, Colleen's organization is the only one that will come to Elmer. You know, I tried St. Thomas and London and Tillsonburg and MNR and everybody. There's nobody that comes to Elmer to deal with a sick animal, especially raccoon or skunk or anything like that. She was willing to come, and luckily I caught before she came. But secondly, Beaver Creek is the only veterinary clinic in this whole area that will euthanize a sick animal. So, you know, the connection is really powerful for people that face a sick animal in their yard. Councillor Chapman.
Thank you. I do have one more question for you. Do you only deal with small animals? So just an example, it wasn't that long ago, we had a deer come into town and went into the front door of one of the businesses. So do you deal with any larger animals or just the smaller ones?
It depends on the situation. I also got a call from a forensic manager at Costco in North London. They had a deer crash through a window into the area where they changed the tires. In those situations with adult deer, there's not a lot we can do. I do not have the ability to dart or to euthanize an animal on the spot. In those cases, we recommend you call the police. But I deal with all sorts of injured and orphaned animals. And raccoons, not so much skunks, but raccoons. Because, like I mentioned, canine distemper affects them neurologically and they lose their fear, they can turn very quickly. Now, I'm not sure the raccoon that the mayor was dealing with, I think I recall you telling me that he was walking up to people. Is that correct?
Right, the raccoon was actually eating with the feral cats, trying to get into the house, wandering around everywhere where it shouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah, they wander aimlessly with no purpose. I've seen them going in circles. I've had them come at me. They're very dangerous, and that's why we're willing. I mean, our mandate is to rehabilitate injured and orphaned and ill animals and get them back home. We don't keep them. Our directive from the ministry is if they are not able to go back to the wild 100%, then they're euthanized. We're not allowed to keep them as pets. So that's our mandate, is to raise the money so that we can get them better and get them back home. So this service is because you have to understand the raccoon, you have to be able to counter his moves, because they can turn on a dime and become very dangerous. And we just don't want the public having to deal with them. I had 2 people bit in 2024, and last year I had 2 people bit as well. And that's when public health has to get notified, they have to go to the hospital. It's a big deal if any kind of wild animal bites somebody. But raccoons are very, very difficult to handle, and they're hard to trap sometimes.
And usually raccoons are pretty smart, except mating season in February. That's not very bright. Anything else? Well, thank you very much for your presentation.
I really appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. We have a resolution on the floor. We have, do we have the resolution on the floor? We should.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All those in favor of the resolution? It is carried. And I think we need a resolution to accept the presentation by Fiona and Colleen.
Yes, that the delegation from Fiona Wynn and Colleen Burns from Forever Wild Rehabilitation, delegating regarding canine distemper virus and wildlife services to municipalities, be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Oslak and Councillor Chapman. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. And thank you again, Fiona and Colleen, for your presentation. Item 6.1, communication and staff reports, resolution.
That the consent agenda for February 4th, 2026 be received for information, and that the included recommendations within the staff report be adopted, and that council approves the minutes of the regular held meeting on January 14th, 2026.
Mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Barber and Councillor Chapman. Any questions, comments from any of those items from members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. 7.1, Director of Emergency Services, the fire report for the year, resolution.
That report Fire 01-26 entitled Fire Department Final Report 2025 be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Rahi and Councillor Chapman. Fire Chief McComb.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, members of council. The final report that you see in front of you summarizes our activities through the year 25. I'll just pull some highlights from the report. We hope you like our format. We try to kind of change it up from what you generally see in front of you to make it maybe a little more colorful, a little bit more fun to look at. But real quick, the call volume has continued to hover around 130 calls for service per year, which translates to approximately 11 calls per month, and that works out to about 3 calls a week, just to kind of give you a different perspective on our activities at Aylmer Fire. Grants and donations, we were very successful this year for the year 2025, and totaled an incredible $79,263 of grants and donations. 2025 saw the retirement of firefighter Brian Jakes, who started with the fire department in May 2010. Through his career, he attended 623 emergency calls for the town. We thank Brian for his years of service. Matthew Bartlett was promoted to fill Brian's role, and new recruit Logan Wilson will move into the auxiliary firefighter spot. While some Ontario fire departments struggle to meet the challenge of full-time responding certification by firefighters by this year, 2026, I am proud to announce that Aylmer Fire Department has, and in some cases, exceeded these requirements with 29 certified Ontario firefighters on staff. All this accomplished within a budget that has not seen an increase in the past 2 years. Special mention goes out to our training captain, Trevor Sproul, who you met tonight, and our deputy fire chief to reach this goal. And just as important, the firefighters for their commitment to these hours, weekends, and nights to accomplish their training. As I stated in the last of my report, we're looking forward to 2026 with much enthusiasm, as it's going to be another great year. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that council might have for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Just a few comments from me right off the bat. $79,000 in grants and fundraising. Tremendous figure for the department, for the firefighters. Thank you very much. And 29 certified firefighters. Amazing. Amazing achievement for this fire department. Council, any questions or comments? Seeing none, then we have a motion on the floor to accept this report. All those in favor? Is carried. Thank you. 7.2, Manager of Planning and Development, dealing with the part lot control exemption resolution.
The report Plan 04-26 regarding planning evaluation report application for part lot control exemption be received, and that the application for part lot control exemption for lands legally described as lots 1 to 16 and registered plan 11M277, designated as part 1 to 32 to plan 11R11463, be approved, and that the adopted bylaw be forwarded to the County of Elgin for consideration of approval.
Mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor Barber. Seconder, Councilor Rahi. Heather.
Thank you, Your Worship and Councillors. Sifton Properties Limited has applied for a part lot control exemption bylaw for Cottonwood Hills Subdivision Phase 3. This will permit the further subdivision of the lands to facilitate the development of semi-detached units on separate lots. Cottonwood Hills Subdivision Phase 3 received final approval in 2025 from the County of Elgin for single detached and semi-detached units. The lands proposed for the semi-detached units, lots 1 to 16, are designated low-density residential in our official plan and zone residential type 3 special provision zone, which permits semi-detached dwellings with special provisions to permit units on separate lots. Planning policy review was prepared, and the proposed application meets all applicable provincial and county policies for part lot control exemption. The semi-detached units were planned for in the servicing and presented to the public and agencies during circulation. Although there is no legislative requirement for public or agency circulation for part lot control exemptions, the approved site works for this development are included in the subdivision agreement. Lastly, to avoid subsequent transfers without a Planning Act consent, the part lot control exemption will expire in 3 years' time. In conclusion, as the application meets the requirements for part lot control exemption and is consistent with the planning framework, it's recommended that the requested bylaw be adopted and forwarded on to County of Elgin for approval. Thank you.
Council? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the resolution? As carried, thank you. 7.3, the CAO report on BMA Consulting resolution.
That report CAO 0526 entitled BMA Consulting 2025 Municipal Benchmarking Study be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Barber and Councilor Oslach. Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this report is respecting the annual BMA consulting study that we participate in to help evaluate our performance against other municipalities. The data is largely taken from 2024 information, so this study doesn't include the increases in residential and commercial assessments that were significant in 2025. The data shows positive trends for Aylmer. Household incomes in Aylmer, St. Thomas, and Tillsonburg appear to be growing at roughly twice the rate of other low-income regions in southwestern Ontario. There are a lot of communities that are considered low-income in southwestern Ontario. However, it does appear that our group of municipalities will transition out of being low-income communities and become middle-income communities sometime early in the next term of council. This is potentially an indicator that on a regional basis, there's a boom ongoing and that we are positioned more favorably than other jurisdictions in the province, which are having significant struggles in terms of housing and economic development. Relative per capita taxation burden increase in Elmer was comparable to St. Thomas between this and the previous study, and it was significantly less than in Tillsonburg. In addition, the town of Elmer has had a very favorable life cycles for our assets and is placing more funds per capita into reserves to address our assets in the future. Overall, the town is in a strong fiscal position, has a low level of risk related to our assets, and has low debt levels. Although not fully captured in this study, this term of council has adopted policies and approaches to expedite residential development. This has been focused on a mix of housing options to support the broadest range of individuals needing housing. And this follows the approach advocated for by upper levels of government to try to address the housing crisis by increasing stock. As this market is self-regulating, increases in the stock should result in stabilization or downward trends on rents and house prices locally. While this BMA study provides some insights, it does not consider broader national or international issues that are ongoing. A good example of this is increases in grocery cost, which a recent study has indicated now exceeds housing cost as the biggest concerns for families in Canada. So although the town cannot address such national or international issues, we do see that our region is outperforming other areas, and this is not to discount individual lived experiences or people who are families that are struggling. It's just to highlight that the aggregate data indicates that the town is performing well and that we can be anticipated to no longer be defined as a low-income community sometime during the next term of council. Staff anticipate the next study will continue to build on these trends and also show that Elmer is undergoing a boom period as it relates to residential and commercial development. Significant further data will become available in the 2026 Statistics Canada study when that's released, which will likely occur sometime next year. It's important to continue to examine demographic changes and our performance to ensure that our services are geared towards the community's needs and that council and the public have an accurate picture overall of how we're doing. The trends we see in this study, though, reflects council's dedication this term to growth, efficiency, and affordability, which will remain obviously key guiding principles for us as we go forward. And with that, I'll try to answer any questions of council.
Council. Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the resolution? Carried, thank you. Item 8, new business and matters of urgency. None. Reading of bylaws.
The council gives 3 readings to and approves bylaw 10-26, being a bylaw to exempt from part lot control lands legally described as lots 1 to 16 on Plan 11M277, designated as parts 1 to 32 on Plan 11R11463 in the town of Elmer, in the county of Elgin. And bylaw 1426 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 5799, being the zoning bylaw of the town of Elmer for 516 John Street North. Bylaw 16-26 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council held at the regular meeting of council on January 14th, 2026. Bylaw 17-26 being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy for all tax classes for 2026, to provide for the payment of taxes and to provide for penalty and interest of 1.25%. And bylaw 1826 being a bylaw to adopt amendment number 26 to the official plan amendment for the town of Elmer, for the corporation of the town of Elmer, 516 John Street North.
Great, thank you. A mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Councillor Rahi. Any comments by staff, questions by staff? I'm sorry, by council. Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried, thank you. Are there any inquiries by members? Councillor Rahi.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just I think this is the right time to inquire, but I had a pile of snow-related questions that Terry sent an email out about, and I didn't know if someone could touch base on that and maybe explain some of the stuff that he explained for the people that are listening, or is this not the right time for that?
Sure, I think, do you have anything specific or just generally asking, Chair?
Yeah, through you, it's mainly snow in the school zones and some of the times of responding. And I will add, this is not me judging any of the work that anyone has done. I understand snow, and it is very painful, but I just didn't know if we could have a quick little view on that. Is that fine? Thank you.
Terry? You have any general comments on timing and that kind of thing?
Through your worship to Councillor Rahi. So, yeah, I did send, just for the public's understanding, I sent through just some facts on our winter maintenance policy that we follow and also the minimum maintenance standards that we follow. As I understand it, you're just looking for kind of an update on what I had sent there. So, yeah, just to clarify, the town of Elmer does follow our Elmer winter maintenance response policy. That was brought through in a report last year just to address some of the things that were outdated. So we follow that policy. We also follow the minimum maintenance standards for Ontario. So that lays out some of the guidelines on the classifications of roads and the depths of snow and time to respond for the associated roads. So as per our winter maintenance policy, we have different priority roads. So the roads follow a priority 1A actually, and 1B. That would be arterial roads and collector roads respectively. And then all the other roads are priority 2 roads. So the priority for roads first would be to address all the plowing on the 1A, 1B roads, then move on to the priority 2 roads. So essentially it's the core and move out from there. And there's different timelines and snow depths as per the minimum maintenance standards that we would follow before the crew is mobilized to start cleaning the roads. The sidewalks follow a similar standard that's in the winter maintenance policy. There are different priority roads. There's priority 1 sidewalks and priority 2 sidewalks. Priority 1 sidewalks include the arterial roads, collector roads, and then also the school zones. So those are the areas that we would deploy the sidewalk plow to first. And again, it's based on the minimum maintenance standards, just to throw out there. So class 3 roads, it's 8 centimeters, 12 hours for plowing. And for sidewalks, it's similar. It depends on the class of road and the depth of snow on how many hours you have to clear the sidewalk or road. I think that pretty much covers most of it. Something that wasn't quite shared on there is that we have been working with the development charges study that is currently ongoing. There was a sidewalk plow included in the previous study that was completed, so we do have development charge funds available for a sidewalk plow unit. So council can expect a business plan upcoming in the next month or two with intentions and laying out the whole business case for adding an additional sidewalk unit, which would increase our capabilities of the sidewalks themselves. So I know that's going into the weeds a bit and providing a lot of information. Is there any other specific questions related to the information?
Follow-up?
Yes, not really. It's kind of just, you put something in there that a lot of people don't know. You know, the people on the staff don't just deal with the snow. There's also other events that are happening, such as water main breaks and stuff like that. So I think it's important for everyone to know that there's normally a lot of stuff on the go when winter is winter. So I just wanted to also add that. Thank you.
Okay, any other inquiries? Right. See none. Statements, committee reports? Seeing none. Okay, the report of the mayor, I do have a few items that I want to deal with. First off, I'd like to, I want to talk a little bit about the snow situation. It reminds me, I think the title of the movie was Everyone, Everything, All at Once. And it seems like this is the kind of situation we look at when we're dealing with snow. People should be aware of the amount of roads that we do have in town, the amount of sidewalks, and the very few, the little equipment we have. So I want to commend the town operations staff for their prompt responses in these last punishable conditions, and they were quite punishable conditions. The town does have an operations plan and a well-trained and experienced team. They know how to do it. They know where to do it. They know when to do it. They have been working extremely hard to maintain or exceed the minimum maintenance standards, as Terry was referring to. As the Director of Operations put it, he said, we have a small team that utilizes the fleet and equipment effectively and efficiently. And also note that, and Councillor Rahi mentioned that as well, that there are other things that are going on besides snow in the town. And in fact, they did have a number of, had one major main break and water break. So our staff was very diligent in getting the snow off as fast as they could and getting the sidewalks as clear as fast as they could. And so thank you and your team, Director Koenig. I'd like to end that idea with congratulations to Peter Lowen, who's our technical foreperson who just obtained the Certified Road Supervisor designation. It's another example of how staff continually improve and work tirelessly to put the town first. I'd also like to mention that the town of Elmer is launching a pilot trap neuter return program for feral cats in partnership with Imperial Road Animal Hospital. A TNR, or the trap neuter return, is a humane way to manage feral cat populations. Cats are safely trapped, fixed, vaccinated, marked, and returned to where they were found. So if you out there care for a feral cat colony, you can register as a caretaker and may be eligible for TNR vouchers. More information is available on the town's website. All right. And that's all I have as comments. Are there any notices of motion? We have a meeting closed to the public. We have resolution.
Yes, I'll read that out. That council moves into a meeting closed to the public at such and such 7:59 PM to discuss the following matters. Manager of Human Resources report HR 0226 job evaluation process and salary grid changes, and that consideration of this item is closed to the public pursuant to section 239B and D of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, as the subject matter pertains to B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and D, labor relations or employee negotiations.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Barbara and Councillor Oslach. All those in favor? As carried. We'll have a brief recess, so we'll meet here.
we're on.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. We have a resolution coming out of closed.
That council rise from a meeting closed to the public at 8:25 PM and reports the following: that council received for information report HR 02-26, job evaluation process and salary grid changes, and that council provided confidential direction to the chief administrative officer and manager of human resources.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Barbara and Councillor Oslach. All those in favor? As carried. Resolution to adjourn.
That council do now adjourn at 8:25 PM.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman, Councillor Rahi. All those in favor? As carried. Thank you. Have a great evening, ladies and gentlemen.